What's up, everyone? James Lynch here doing a quick preview of Saturday's UFC Vegas 34 main event. And if you missed my preview already of the main card, I did do that on the Odds Checker YouTube channel. So go look for that. All your information for the main card is there, and I've got you covered for that. But this is going to be focusing solely on the main event. And like I mentioned in that other video, this fight card is going to be taking place at the UFC Apex in Las Vegas. And we got a really great main event between Jared Cannonier and Kelvin Gastelum, a pair of fighters who both lost to Robert Whittaker in their last fights. I'm going to get off the screen here so you guys can see what I'm looking at. Jared Cannonier, 37 years old, 185, 5'11" with a 77.5 inch reach, compared to Kelvin Gastelum, who's 29 years old, 5'9" with a 71.5 inch reach. So you'll see there, Jared Cannonier, the much bigger fighter. I mentioned it on the other video. Cannonier used to fight at heavyweight and then fought at light heavyweight and is now at middleweight, whereas Kelvin Gastelum used to fight at welterweight. So it just shows you how different these guys are in terms of the size in the fight here. Now let's look at Jared Cannonier's record over the last little bit. The Killer Gorilla, as I'm hiccuping here. Lost to Robert Whittaker. Not a bad loss to have. This is a guy who's probably going to be rematching Israel Adesanya. He's also a former middleweight champion, so not a bad loss to have, especially considering that Cannonier broke his arm in the first round. Had he not done that, who knows how that fight would have gone. Prior to that, 3 straight wins at middleweight. David Branch, nice finish there. Nice finish over former middleweight champion Anderson Silva. And then the Jack Hermansson win, that was one that really turned some heads. Jack Hermansson, pretty solid contender in his own right. And for Cannonier to finish him in the second round, very impressive. You look at the losses here, they're all against really good light heavyweights. Dominic Reyes, Jan Blachowicz, Glover Teixeira. Glover and Jan are actually fighting for the title later this year. So all of his losses are against guys that are pretty solid. So that's one thing to keep in mind here, is that Cannonier fighting top-notch competition. Also trains at a great camp at the MMA lab. I know a lot of people are questioning the wrestling in this fight with Gastelum having the advantage there, but Jared Cannonier training with some great wrestlers over at the lab, including Benson Henderson, the former UFC lightweight champion. So Jared Cannonier bringing a lot to the table. And like I said, on most books, he's a slight favorite in this fight, which is interesting. Let's look at Kelvin Gastelum, though. On a bit of a skid lately. He's lost 4 of his last 5 fights, but like Cannonier, is losing to really good guys. Robert Whittaker, Jack Hermansson, who Cannonier beat. Darren Till was a split, should have been a unanimous. I was at that fight. I was cage side. I definitely thought Till won that one. And Israel Adesanya, which, let's be honest here, this is the crazy thing about Kelvin Gastelum. He's given Adesanya the toughest test to date yet in the octagon. He actually dropped him late in that fight, but wasn't able to capitalize, and Adesanya ended up winning that interim middleweight title fight instead. So it's crazy to think that, because I know Israel Adesanya lost to Jan Blachowicz earlier this year, but I thought the fight that Gastelum put up was actually a better performance. So there you go. He's got some good wins. Got a win over Bisping. Got a win over Jacare Souza, Tim Kennedy. Gastelum's got some good wins at 185, but just lately he's had a tough time putting it together. I think the Darren Till fight especially was one where he could have capitalized. Nice win over Ian Heinisch earlier this year, but again, didn't look that great against Robert Whittaker. And I know Whittaker's great, but still, this is, to me, is sort of a contender's fight, and it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Gastelum does have the wrestling advantage here, so that'll be interesting. Can he neutralize the stand-up of Jared Cannonier in this fight, or will it be a case of Cannonier keeping it standing and winning the striking battles? Gastelum has some striking as well, but I think if we're looking at the two, I would consider Cannonier the better striker. My thoughts on this fight are this. I don't know why the line isn't bigger for Jared Cannonier. Maybe I'm reading this one wrong, but I think Cannonier absolutely goes out there and takes care of business against Kelvin Gastelum. The other thing we have to remember is that this wasn't the original fight. It was supposed to be Jared Cannonier and Paulo Costa. Paulo Costa had some contract issues with the UFC, so it steps in Kelvin Gastelum, and Gastelum ranked a lot lower than Jared Cannonier, so it's more of a case of they wanted to keep this main event intact, but I think Cannonier absolutely should win this fight. I'd be pretty surprised if he doesn't. Again, striking advantage. I think the wrestling's fine. He's got a good ground game too. He just hits a lot harder. Don't be surprised if Cannonier either wins a pretty dominant decision or he knocks out Kelvin Gastelum. I know Gastelum's never been knocked out, but I think there's a good opportunity here for Cannonier to wear out Gastelum, especially as the fight goes on. It's a main event, so it's 5 rounds, so keep that in mind as well too, but really like Jared Cannonier in the main event. So I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below. Who are you picking on Saturday? How do you see the fight unfolding? Let me know. Follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at Lynch on Sports. Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel, youtube.com, and then Odds Checker US. You just search Odds Checker US, almost stumbled there, but you get what I'm saying here, where you can find my breakdowns every single week, along with my fighter interviews. I'm James Lynch. Enjoy the fights this weekend, and I'll talk to you guys soon.